Hey, good morning and welcome to the fourth hour. It's really nice to have you along again. Hope you're hearing me okay. I'm just trying to check on my volume here. Today was just rugged. Today was one of those days where it's just rugged. I was off to a bad start, and I mentioned this on the air this morning. You know those when for those of you who went to school in Sioux Falls, you may have remembered this because there were kids, you'd be walking through school. I remember walking through Washington High School, same thing, especially at Edison Junior High School, around that age. You're walking through, you got all your books under your arm, so you're on a hurry, um, on your way to your next class, and somebody comes up behind you and kicks all of your books out of your arms, and they go like everywhere, man. And papers are going everywhere, and you're scrambling to pick up your stuff. Everybody's laughing at you. That's how my day started today. Literally, you have that kind of a start to your day, and it's like, this is just absolutely rugged. So it kind of started out bad and was getting worse for a short period of time. Then I hop on YouTube. I had second thoughts about whether I was going to do the 6 a.m. hour live because I was fighting the clock, and YouTube starts giving me problems. So to those, I have found, I think, a way to rectify that. Much like I use StreamYard when I do the fourth hour, and StreamYard allows me then to broadcast not only to YouTube but also to Facebook at the same time. It's one of the things, and StreamYard has got some other features. I just really, really love StreamYard. And that's how I come to you each day is through StreamYard. I'm thinking I'm going to get StreamYard on the computer up in the studio, in the KELO AM studio, and then through StreamYard be on YouTube every day because it winds up being a much smoother join and versus when I'm accessing YouTube directly myself, because it's frustrating. I don't know if it's that time of day or what the issue is, but YouTube is just, I find, I mean, in terms of actually starting and beginning my stream, I'm having consistent problems with YouTube during that 6 a.m. hour. So I'm going to see, one of the things I'll do today is make sure I've got access to StreamYard up in the KELO AM studio. Hopefully that's going to alleviate that problem. For those of you, and there are not many that watch the 6 a.m. hour of the Greg Belfrage show. And I've got some thoughts on that. And it's one of the things I'd like to work on is broadcasting the entire show on YouTube, the entire 3 hours of the show, including phone calls, everything, so that you would hear, currently when I do the fourth hour, or excuse me, not the fourth hour, but when I'm doing the show, the 6 a.m., when I'm on the air, I've got a microphone in front of me. That microphone is the microphone that's going out over the air. However, folks who are watching are hearing me through a microphone in my camera. And they're not great microphones. They work, they're good. I don't use the camera microphone when I'm doing this. I use a much more expensive, nicer microphone, give you a fuller, richer sound than what you would get through the webcam microphone. So, I got to thinking about it. Why don't we because we've got studio audio that we can plug then into the computer. So why don't we do that? One of the drawbacks would be I wouldn't be able to communicate with folks directly like I'm doing right now with you. I'm communicating with you directly. During the radio show, then you would just be watching the radio show. You would only hear me then when the microphone would be open. I wouldn't be able to converse with you back and forth. But what it would also allow us to do is to broadcast the entire 3 hours. So when I have guests on the phone, you would hear them as callers are coming in. Also, if I have guests in the studio, you might not be able to see them, but you'd be able to hear them. Um, so that's something I'm working toward. I would like to see that happen, and I'm going to follow up with our chief engineer. Our chief engineer here, his name is Al, and he's a great guy. He really is a great guy. He loves KELO, listens to the station a lot. He's trying to keep an ear on all of our stations, but he likes the programming on KELO, so he listens to us a lot. But he's right in our, we call it in our demographic. He's it, So I want to try to work with him to make some of those things happen. I think it would be fun to be able to actually do the entire show for you. One of my concerns is you have that camera on, you forget the camera's on, right? So, but also you wouldn't be able to, again, you would only hear the audio, same audio you would hear on the radio station. So you would hear the commercials, you would hear, the news, you would hear all of those things very clearly uninterrupted versus me having to turn up the speaker and hearing it that way. So that's something hope to be able to do for you fairly soon. So those are things that I am currently working on. Okay, there were a couple of other things that I wanted to mention. I don't know that I'm again today, and bear with me. Today is one of those days where just everything. I've had a number of different setbacks today, and it's just the kind of day it is. This story from KELOLAND TV. How many states? Now keep in mind, the legislature yesterday was unable to move forward with the new men's prison. Didn't happen. And without getting into all of that, okay, because there are a lot of strong, thoughts about that going in the community. And I appreciate that. And I recognize that. I want to be understanding of that. So I will tell you, honestly, one of the things that really kind of frustrates me is the lack of leadership of our state lawmakers. Hey, y'all knew this was coming. Y'all knew this was coming. And you got some of them out there, knock it off. Knock it off. This is the job. And the governor made it very, very clear. Governor Roden made it very clear. The state prison is an issue. And we've talked about that previously. So the folks over at KELOLAND TV, and I want to be careful. They've got a state. They've got a story. How many states have older prisons than South Dakota? And so they're looking into this. Well, South Dakota, despite this, South Dakota facilities are not the oldest facilities in the nation. Lots of other states have older prisons than South Dakota does. And here's the list. I'm scrolling down so you can see it. So all of these states have well, I guess that really then just means let's just do nothing. Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do nothing. Here's the thing about when you're presenting stories. Hey, KELOLAND TV, you might want to take notes. When you're presenting stories, you want to further people's knowledge of the issue. How does that, and again, you've got a lot of debate going on in the state. So, but other states have older prisons. Yeah, I guess we can just go back to being 50th and everything, huh? We can just go back. Don't worry about it. Well, other states have got older prisons than ours. We could just go back to, being 50th like we are and everything else. What kind of mentality is that? What you want to do is you want to inform people. You want to you want to give them things to think about. You want to further the story. What is the conversation? What is the, and there, now I don't want to be too critical because, oh, I don't know, maybe I do want to be. There have been some, there's been some great reporting on the issue on all around, how people are going to be impacted, so on. But the fact that other states have older prisons, that would be nowhere in my calculus as I'm making a decision as to whether or not KELO TV did some very excellent reporting showing how decrepit our state penitentiary is. Now, again, I know the issue of where to build one is an issue. I know that's an issue, and it's a really touchy one for a lot of folks. So without opening that whole can of worms, can you and I at least agree and understand that our state is in need of a new prison? There's no question about that. Our state is in need of a new prison. Go watch those KELOLAND TV reports. Again, they did some really excellent reporting, walking folks through the prison. And those stories I appreciated because it illustrated the need. That's something, the interior of the prison is something most of us just don't see. We don't understand what it's like behind the scenes. We don't understand that you have people handcuffed stepping over pipes as they're having to walk through and get from one area of the prison to another. The thing is decrepit. The age of other prisons throughout the country does not in any way help inform our thinking as to whether or not the state of South Dakota needs a new men's prison. I don't think there's any question about that. We do. For a number of different reasons, we need a new one. But again, where we build it, so on, that's a different issue. I want to be respectful because emotions are really running high, and I get that. I understand that. But the fact that other states have older prisons than the one in South Dakota really doesn't inform my opinion at all as to whether or not we need a new prison. There was something else that really caught my eye this morning, and this is, now this may be me because I went to one of there are places that I visit routinely as I'm preparing the morning show. One of the websites and that I really appreciate and like is the New York Post and the work that they do at the New York Post. So I go to the New York Post this morning and they had and it still is, the top story at the New York Post, Rachel Maddow responding to the firing of Joy Reid and other non-white hosts programs. So Rachel Maddow going on about that. Okay, I understand it's important to a certain segment of this is the top story right now at the New York Post. This is a nonsense story. I mean, seriously. And it goes on. The New York Post doesn't stop there. Then they go on to they had a story about Joy Reid. She remains defiant after her firing. Excuse me, ads in the way. So she's saying, I'm not sorry. So she was it was on a podcast, Win with Black Women, over the weekend. So she's not sorry that she went hard on so many issues. I've been through every emotion from, anger, rage, disappointment, guilt, that I let my team lose their jobs, she said. So and I understand this. I mean, if you've ever I have never been at the level, certainly, that Joy Reid was at, but having lost a broadcast job in my career before, I understand how that feels. Totally makes sense. Then you also had a story at the now again, my issue here is how much coverage this whole thing is getting. Then you have, now again, this is coverage at the New York Post. They're covering television. And Don Lemon telling Megyn Kelly, go blank yourself, after Megyn Kelly slammed Joy Reid. And I love Megyn Kelly. I really do. I think she's incredibly intelligent, articulate, smart, and just entertaining. I enjoy watching her. So she's going after Joy Reid. She's slamming Joy Reid. Don Lemon then telling Megyn Kelly, go blank yourself. If that's the way to get ahead on some of these podcasts, and man, I want no part of it. I want absolutely no part of it whatsoever. Just absolute nonsense. And the fact that the website of the New York Post, those were like among the top 3 or 5 stories were those. And with all of the other, now I know other things that are going on because I'm in the news. I'm looking at other websites, and I know what's going on. And I'm following Trump's True Social account. So I know what the president's got going on. All of these other things. And the idea that this is, it would be an understatement to say that I just don't care. Okay, Joy Reid has lost her job. I totally get that. But all of this coverage, and then, folks tearing on Joy Reid. I'm not going to rip on Joy Reid. She got a different point of view and I'm like, okay. I mean, she has said stuff that I thought was loony. What else is new? There's somebody every day saying something I think is absolutely loony. It's just not anything new. So you got all of that going on. One of my strategies every day, and it's a personal strategy, I can't always avoid it at work, but certainly when I spend time with you on the air every day, I want to focus on things that matter to you. I want to focus on things that matter to you. And I hope that is reflected on the show, that we're talking about things that matter to you, things that are important. And any given day, and I've said this a number of times over the years, you may tune in one day and we're talking about something and you think, yeah, that's not really important to you. And I respect that. And I have always told folks, if you find that's the case, come back later, come back tomorrow if you have to. You're hearing things and this is just not grabbing you. I understand that. I appreciate it. Please come back tomorrow. Because I guarantee you we're going to be talking generally about something else. There's going to be something else that's important in one way or another to your life. That's certainly, and this cat fighting it's what it is. It's cat fighting. And is that solely just purely entertainment value? Because it makes me angry. I don't watch it and go, oh man, wow, I love watching this stuff. I'm just like, it's just garbage. Just absolute garbage to me. And if I were to engage in that on a daily basis, I would feel like Rush Limbaugh used to talk about the mind-numbed robots. That's what I would feel like. I would feel like absolutely like a mind-numbed robot. If that was, oh man, did you hear what he said? I'm not saying I don't have those thoughts. I do. There are times I'm like, oh man, especially Trump. When President Trump gives it to somebody, it's like, oh yeah. I mean, that's when you hear me saying he threw the Twisker punch. I'm an old Popeye fan. He threw the Twisker punch, man. So there are times I will say, I'm like anybody else. I have an emotional reaction, but the media obsession with this kind of stuff. Don Lemon said this, in response to Megyn Kelly, who said this. And I'm like, why in the world am I supposed to care? And I can't imagine Joy Reid and then Rachel Maddow responding to this. Okay, I never cared what Joy Reid thought. I don't care what Rachel Maddow thinks. I don't watch her show. I didn't watch Joy Reid's show, and neither did anybody else. Ba-boom. But I don't watch their shows. Just don't care. Why the obsession with that kind of stuff? It is just absolutely beyond me. All right, I'm going to leave it there for today. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to ask you to hit the like button if you would before you leave. You made it to the end of the video. You're part of my gallery of champions. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much, my friend, for being here. Hope to see you again soon. Take care until next time.